This is Meltdown Live, presented by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag for double your initial deposit. You sign on to make a deposit, they double it with code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag.
Happy Friday. It's a fun Friday edition of The Meltdown. Thank you for being here with us live. If you're not watching live, thank you for watching or listening on demand as we are in the podcast section of your favorite podcast platform. You can listen there in the car, on the drive. You can take The Meltdown with you wherever you go. And we appreciate all of you who listen by audio only as well. But if you are here watching on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell so you never miss when we go live. I am Tim Melton, joining me here in the Culver studio today, dressed in all orange, hard to miss. The one and only Tyler Lionel Johns. Tyler, how are you doing? We have made it to Friday, my friend.
Yes, we have. I have gotten through unscathed. Thankfully, got the orange hoodie, so, nobody mistakes me for a deer.
That is absolutely correct. You are safe to go in the woods. I am not, however. People think I'm a Sasquatch, or they think I'm Jason and need to be brutally murdered. So,
well, there was that new footage of Bigfoot that came out from Colorado. I had it on trash for next round today, and they did say, is that footage of Melton going through the woods?
We've taken plenty of shots in the Culver studio today of TNR crew, so I deserve that one. I mean that's perfectly fine. I'm fine with that. Speaking of shots, lots of shots taken in the movie we will be reviewing here shortly. That is Ballerina. We are going to very much stick to a non-spoiler philosophy. However, and I don't know if this is a spoiler, I don't think it is, but just be safe with me, trust me here. It's a hard movie to spoil. I mean, it is basically what it promotes itself as being. And, if you've seen a trailer, you pretty much know how Ballerina goes. I mean, It's not really anything to spoil very much. And that may be actually one of my criticisms. But anyway, we'll get into that here in just a few moments. But I went to the Cineplex yesterday, and I did a double feature.
Oh.
Yep. Started off with Karate Kid Legends.
Okay.
And this is what I'm going to say about Karate Kid Legends. Okay? It is the most generically unoffensive movie of the year. I mean, it is exactly what you'd expect it to be.
Yeah, and wasn't it fun?
Fun is a stretch.
You didn't have fun with that?
I didn't have fun. I wasn't having fun.
I loved how ridiculous it is. You have these high schoolers fighting on a rooftop of a New York City skyscraper.
With a huge crowd, by the way. I'm like, how did they get this crowd up there? And what are they charging per head to come watch this?
What's the elevator situation like? Were you just having to go in batches up to the top floor? Because I can't imagine everybody's taking the stairs all the way up.
I thought it was going to be like the first 15 minutes of Final Destination Bloodlines, everybody up there. And oh my gosh, we got to get off of this thing. The movie's ridiculous. And I love that it's a very short movie. It's 90 minutes. I mean, it really is very to the point.
Yeah, like I've been saying, and every time we've reviewed this movie, you blink and you're at the final tournament.
You really are. I love a good training montage.
Oh yeah,
in a movie. I'm a sucker for a good training montage. Give me Rocky in Rocky 4. They're training in the mountains, the snowy mountains, and pulling logs and doing all that stuff. And then you have Drago on the other side punching the hell out of things. I love a good training montage. In this movie, it's even the training montages, they're we got to hurry. People aren't going to stick around for this. And I'm like, let it breathe just a little bit. And the way it's edited, it's like trying to be, the vibe I got was Into the Spider-Verse during it. It had those same sort of panels and was doing all this sort of stuff.
Yes, it had that same sort of stylization. But then in the actual traditional sense of editing, the cuts were horrible.
Well, they were intentionally horrible, though. It was we're making a choice to break the rules of the way editing is typically done in order to you can't watch a character walk from point A to point B. It's cut. And it's they just sort of flash. So what is going on here? And then they reference Spider-Man in the movie. And I was like, okay, well now they're just, maybe this was all planned for them to look sort of Into the Spider-Verse, but live action Karate Kid. I don't know. I thought the opening provided a large sense of nostalgia.
Yes.
So that was really good. There's nothing, I'm not hating on this movie. I just think it is the safest, most generic Karate Kid experience where it's supposed to hit the vein of nostalgia, be perfectly fine and not offensive to anybody, and just sort of deliver exactly what it promises to deliver. you go watch it in a sleepy matinee and you never think about it again.
Yeah.
And it delivers that. But, I mean, that's not even a criticism. It's just it's a very solid 3 out of 5 for me. So, Karate
That's
Kid
exactly
Legends.
what I've got it at, too.
If you're looking for a movie to drag people to that don't typically go to the movies, don't necessarily like movies, but you think you can get away with like having a little bit of excitement while making everybody happy, Karate Kid Legends is for you. But it's just, I'm not a huge fan of the franchise to begin with, so I'm not like a super fan. I haven't watched any of Cobra Kai. People love Cobra Kai, but I just thought it was perfectly fine. It was just very generically fine. And yeah, great casting. The acting was stiff at times. This is the stiffest acting I've seen in a movie this year. But it's not really negative. It's like you're kind of rooting for them. Like, everybody seems nice on screen. Everybody on screen seems nice, except for that guy with the awful bully haircut. You know, as soon as you see that guy, you're like,
that dude was
a bad dude.
Cartoonishly a bully.
He had the same haircut as the bad guy from Kindergarten Cop, and I could not stop unseeing it. And it's like, he looks the exact same.
He does.
And I couldn't, I was just expecting him at some point to be yelling, Dominic, you're my son. Dominic, come here. And then get bit by a ferret. Anyway, that's going to be my review of Karate Kid Legends.
Did you get any kind of motivation from the bully other than he's just a bad guy? Because,
no.
In the original Karate Kid, there's that whole argument that Daniel's the bully.
Yeah.
And, Johnny's just defending himself. And we got to learn more about Johnny in the original Karate Kid than you do in this.
There's some emotional weight about an hour into this movie. There's some emotional weight added in that I was like, thank goodness, something with some depth.
Yes.
And I started to feel a little bit more okay. There's something here. There's a layer that I was not getting the first hour of the movie. So happy about that. But it didn't really change much for me with the main villain. He's the most generic villain.
Character.
He's completely generic. He takes cheap shots. He's like the most Karate Kid villain ever. He just, he's like, anyway. So anyway, Karate Kid Legends. It is mildly fine. There you go. Put that on the poster. But I did a double feature. Had the weirdest thing happen to me where I had booked my Ballerina ticket in advance. And I timed it out to where it would time out perfect. I go get my Ballerina ticket scanned. My Karate Kid Legends ticket doesn't even show up anymore in the app because it had been scanned hours earlier, so it evaporated. I could go to the recent history and all that stuff, but explain this to me, Tyler, because this is the first time this has happened to me, this specific problem.
I've been having trouble with the app, too, so we might be having similar issues.
Maybe, but this gets a little bit more complex.
All right.
So I go get it scanned. Mm-hmm. They tell me I'm in Theater 9. I look down and it says Theater 9. I'm like, okay, there's no problems yet, no red flags. I booked my ticket in advance. And I booked back row, far left seat. Back row, far left seat, because I like having the little area down below on the left to I was going to do dinner there. So I was going to put my trash over here so that way it's not in a seat or blocking anybody, but I put it down on the ground and I always pick it up and throw it away at the end. I always throw away my trash at the end of a movie screening because a lot of people, they just assume that it's, somebody's there to pick it up. And I'm like, it takes 2 seconds to run down there. That's why they have the big giant garbage bins. Just throw it in there.
I always found that I'm actually more comfortable during the movie if I have taken the, 2 minutes, not even, to just take my pizza box and put it in the trash. It's just not on the tray in front of me. Mm-hmm. It's not on my armrest. Sure. I can just focus on the movie and that's it.
That's why I book aisle seats. So that way I can have that spot right there where it's out of sight, out of mind until the end of the movie and I pick it all up and everything was in a bag. So it worked out perfect. But anyway, so I go into the theater and I've booked top, if the screen is here, I'm top left all the way at the end. Mm-hmm. And I get in there and the theater layout is different than the theater I booked for. Has that happened to you?
Yeah, I'll book it and be like, all right, this one looks like it'll be close to the center. And then you walk into the theater and it's the screen is actually all the way over to the right-hand side of the theater. And if I actually wanted to be center of the screen, I would need to be at that far right column.
So let me be more specific. I'm not talking about it was a bad graphic to where it looked out of place. I'm talking about like I booked a small theater.
Oh.
And this was their biggest theater.
Yeah, 8 and 9 are the biggest ones.
So I booked row G, which was the back top row. It went up to row H.
Oh.
Yeah, H. So
that is the letter after G.
Maybe it was J. Maybe it even went up to J.
Oh, okay.
I think it actually went up to J now that I think of it. I booked row G. So the seat that I booked was actually like just a few rows up, dead in the middle in this theater. It was not the same layout as what I actually booked on the app. So that tells me that they changed the theater or something.
Oh,
and it didn't update on my app.
That makes more sense.
So someone is in my seat. And I don't want to sit in the middle 4 rows up anyway. So I'm not going to go to that person and be like, you're in my seat. I still want my top row over on the corner. Mm-hmm. But the problem is I'm terrified that somebody else has booked that and they're going to come in and I'm going to have like my food out and stuff. And then they're going to be like, it's going to be hostile. But I'm like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes away from the showtime. So I just go up there and I sit down in the seat I want to sit in. And, you know, the Nicole Kidman ad starts to play and this couple comes up. And they're walking. And you know how you're just kind of like, you're nervous because you're like, you're not going to be able to explain this to them. But they're walking up and they're walking. And I'm like, I'm de-reclining. And I'm getting ready to be like, I'm so sorry, but here's the situation. And they'd be like, yeah, okay, scam artist. And they slowed down. They got to me. They stopped. They slowed down. And I'm like, okay, I'm about to explain myself. And then they just started walking and they sat 2 seats away from me. And I was like, thank goodness that, I mean, I was going to explain to them like, hey, if you book the seat, you can have it. But they didn't seem to care very much. And I was like, okay. So I sat there the whole time anyway. But it was very strange because the theater was much larger and had extra rows than what they promoted when I booked my ticket. So I hope that doesn't happen again. Now, I have had this happen before where I have booked a row that did not exist when I got there because I liked the back and the top. And I got there and it was during Thor Ragnarok. It was row G, which is probably why I remembered it that way. And there was no row G. And so when I get up there, I get to the very top and I'm like, well, what? And it was sold out theater. So they had to make it right. This was before A-List. They had to make it right and get me a showing that was like 2 hours away. So anyway, it's a big mess. I hope that doesn't happen to me again, but I felt like I was stealing something even though I was one of the first ones to buy a ticket. So AMC, get your stuff together. Now, after the movie, I go to the bathroom and there's a guy in there. This is a slightly inappropriate story, but there's a guy in there. He's breathing heavy. Okay. He's in the stall. He's breathing heavy. And I'm thinking like, I don't want to, whatever's happening in this situation. I don't care what's happening in this situation. I don't want to be a part of this. Take care of business. And I go to the sink and he comes out. He's like, oh man, gosh, I'm so glad that's out of me. And I'm like, oh gosh, he's like, I was watching Dawn to Dawn and I was 2 beers in going, this ain't going to be good. And I'm like, okay, man, and I'm just washing my hands. I'm like, well, I'm glad everything worked out for you. And he's like, oh my gosh, yes. I was like, I've got to take this. And I'm like, he's giving me his whole life story. So I'm going to the paper towels and I'm doing the paper towels. He's like, sir, you just have a good day. You have a lovely day, and he's like tipping his cap to me. And I'm like, what is happening? This is the weirdest theater experience I've ever had. But anyway, this would be enough to make a sane person go, I don't really want to go to the movies anymore.
I'm glad I didn't see Dawn to Dawn last night.
Let me tell you, this guy he was in a lot of pain or whatever was happening with him. But yeah, he had to give me the whole play-by-play. I didn't want it. I wasn't asking for it. People come up and they just start talking to me. It's the strangest thing. They just feel comfortable talking to me. But I guess he was just so happy to see another soul, thinking that he would never talk to another human being again in there with whatever was happening to him. But the fact that he told me what movie he was in, what he had ingested into his body, and how rough of a life experience that was, and that he saw the light. I mean, it was like, okay, man, I'm sorry that happened to you. But anyway, went to go see Ballerina. And let's talk a little bit about the movie. It's on my most anticipated list. It's on your most anticipated list. We had a pick your picture that we did when my brother-in-law Jeff was up here. And the goal of the game was to pick which movie we thought would be better. And the one that I was struggled with the most was it was Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning or Ballerina. Which one of those is going to be better? We hadn't seen either one of them yet. And I went with, I think Mission Impossible is going to be better. And I don't know why, but I'm going this route. And I believe it was. I believe Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is better than Ballerina.
I agree.
I'm disappointed in Ballerina. Everything Tyler said about Ballerina is pretty accurate. And let me tell you, if you've got somebody in your life who's never seen a John Wick movie, they're going to see Ballerina and be like, I don't understand why anybody would not love this movie. This is great. But if you've seen all 4 John Wick movies, this is one of those where it's like we're going to follow the same formula of what you love, but we're going to take out crucial pieces of what you love and just do like a copy and paste, and you'll be fine. You'll eat it up because you're a John Wick fan. And our goal is to make John Wick movies now without John Wick being the main focus. We're going to sort of give you some expansion packs. We're going to give you some downloadable content. We're going to give you some, some new playable characters. If anybody is playing the John Wick video game and they have a choice to choose between John Wick or Ana de Armas, they're going to choose John Wick like 9 out of 10 times. Maybe they'll try the new character just to see, but when they realize maybe she's not as proficient or not as engaging or entertaining or whatever it may be, they're going to just swap right back to John Wick. And that's how I felt during this movie. I felt like I just wanted to swap to John Wick. It's like, and everyone knows John Wick is in this movie because it's in all the marketing and it's in the title of the movie, From the World of John Wick, Ballerina, right? Isn't that what it is?
Yes.
What do you think about the John Wick aspect of Ballerina? Meaning that, like, obviously John Wick is in the movie and you're very much in the John Wick universe, but it's not a John Wick movie. And do you think that hurts the movie?
I don't know. Maybe I feel like Keanu really just had nothing meaningful to do. Like, technically he does in terms of the story, but none of it felt weighty at all, I guess, when I was watching. I really just had the impression he was there to sell tickets and nothing else.
He is a producer. Keanu's a producer on this, so I mean...
Yeah. And it just really hurts because he didn't need to be in the movie necessarily. It could have just been that glimpse of him getting removed from the Ruska Roma, and that's it. Yeah. And just to give you an idea of where in the timeline it is. But I did not like any of what John Wick had to do with this movie. Yeah.
John Wick is used to make sure that people are aware of this movie and that they buy a ticket, and, I understand that. And it's not really Ana de Armas's fault. Like, that's the weirdest thing. It's not like her fault. She gives a good performance. It's just there's a very weak baseline story here. Like the motivation, we've seen this type of thing played out. If you've watched any sort of revenge action movie ever, you know the plot of this movie. You could probably guess it and just throw out exactly what's going on. I mean, it is very baseline.
And what really hurts is I didn't get a chance to review this movie because the theaters have just been hopping, and I didn't even just have the space to film anything. But I saw Tornado, which is a samurai movie with Tim Roth as the villain. And same plot. This girl's father's samurai puppet show gets attacked by bandits, and so she sets out on a quest for revenge to kill them and get their gold.
Yeah, very similar.
It was better done in Tornado.
Yeah, I mean, and that sounds like a movie that EG would talk about. Tornado, the Tornado Part 2 or something like that. Look, the action sequences they're good, but there's a lot of them, and you get the sense that they're like apologizing for their lack of story the entire time. So it's like, let's get to another action sequence. Let's do another action sequence. And like, she never gets a chance to really even breathe because she has to quickly move on to another action sequence. And I don't know, it just wore thin on my patience there. And I didn't feel like there was a ton of attention given to the overall character and story that made it something other than a constant reminder that you're not watching John Wick in a John Wick movie. So, am I disappointed? Absolutely, I am. Am I upset that Tyler is right about this movie? Yes. Is the action awful? No. You know, if you took the action from this movie and you put it in another franchise or you put it in another movie, everybody would be like, oh man, that's a really solid action movie. Like if you'd taken the action from this movie and put it in The Crow, people would be like, they got the action sequences right. I mean, the action sequences are really good. The problem is that I have not gotten used to yet buying a ticket to a John Wick movie that isn't really a John Wick movie, and that just didn't work for me because I've seen 4 really, really good John Wick movies that all enhance the other. Ballerina is so paper thin in its plot, it doesn't enhance anything else. You can totally, like, if you are telling people about the John Wick movies, you can totally be like, hey, you can skip Ballerina and you'll be okay.
Yeah, 100%.
And that sucks because I wanted it to add to the overall package, and I don't feel like it did.
Same here, and I mean, you say you like the action sequences. I was not a fan of them, other than the ones that did feel John Wick-esque. Yeah. There was just an unsettling amount of the slow-mo action rolls in Ballerina for me, and I don't remember seeing any of those in the first 4 John Wick movies, so that took me out of it. And then the grenade action in the movie.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yesterday, I asked for your full grenade report, so
it's awful.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, when grenades are entered into this now, I got a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Confused, thing, because you were like, hey, if you ever see a grenade on screen, take a mental note. Well, in like the first 5 minutes, there's a smoke grenade sequence, and I'm like, okay, I'm watching.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Honestly.
And I'm like paying attention, and I'm like, I don't know why Tyler hates this. This is good. This is good. So I was like, Tyler must have been like off his rocker or something because that smoke grenade stuff was good. It looked good.
That was pretty good.
And I'm like, yeah. So Tyler's obviously wrong about this one. I'm here. I've got my popcorn. I'm excited. I'm sitting on a row that I don't have a ticket to. I'm living like a rebel here. Like I feel like I snuck in even though I'd bought my ticket.
Yeah, you're excommunicado from AMC.
Exactly. So no, I was all about it. The first hour, I mean, I was like, man, I'm really enjoying this. And then the second hour is a constant reminder, and it's like, we got to throw everything at the screen. We got to give people their money's worth, and I just felt like it was way too much. However, I did get some Resident Evil 4 vibes. Like the plot for Resident Evil 4, you get that same sort of feeling in the second half of this movie, and I liked the setting for Ballerina in the second half. I'm very weirdly conflicted about this movie and the way I discuss it because there's so many elements of it that I really do appreciate and like.
Yes.
And the small picture stuff, I think they tidied up and they got pretty good. It's the big picture of like, what does it all mean and what is it all for other than just to sell tickets? And I never have felt that way in a John Wick movie before. So it's a new feeling for me when I feel like I'm just a commercialized puppet sitting there watching this slop. You know, and that it's like, yeah, there's some fun action there, and there's some whoa moments, and there's some big explosions, but it's just like, what's it all for?
None of that is what has kept John Wick going for so long.
Correct.
That first movie, like I talked about yesterday in my Meltdown countdown of the top 5 John Wick movies ranked. If you haven't seen yesterday's stream, go check it out. And I had John Wick as the number 1 because it is so emotional, and that's a hook that will just hit with everyone. It is a guy who is just trying to be done with everything and retire and be peaceful. He loses his wife, and then that pulls him back in. He loses his dog, and now he sets out for revenge. Everybody's on board with him. With Ana de Armas, it's just like, I don't know what the difference is between this and, like, Black Widow.
There's really not. Black Widow, I think, is actually a way more fleshed out character, way more fleshed out. Obviously, there's been so many different movies. I did get the sense
I was referring more to the Florence Pugh Black Widow, but, you know, maybe the Scarlett Johansson one, too. I don't know. I haven't seen her origin story.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. Yeah, no. With this particular entry, what it's missing is the special connection that you have with the other 4 movies, even though it's trying so hard to say like, hey, everybody's playing in the same sandbox. Just go ahead and love it. And I didn't. So Ballerina, I initially was at a 3.5 out of 5. The more and more I think about it, I'm at a 3 out of 5. And I won't be thinking about this movie a month from now. I'll have moved on completely to other things. It will not be in my top 10 list by the end of the year. And it's a perfectly fine throwaway movie. But I feel like I watched 2 of those yesterday in Karate Kid Legends and in Ballerina. Are either of them bad movies? No. Are they completely forgettable? Yes. And if that's not important to you, then you'll have a great time probably in both of those movies. But I just won't be thinking about these long term in almost any way. So there we have it. My day at the movies yesterday. It's kind of depressing, to be honest. And there's a lot better fare to look forward to this summer. I'll tell you that 28 Years Later trailer still hits me.
It's good.
That creepy voice and all this. I'm really looking forward to that movie coming out this month. F1, I think, is going to be an adrenaline rush. I think there's going to be a lot of things to be excited about. Do you think Ballerina will be the clear-cut number 1 movie in the country this weekend, or do you think that Lilo and Stitch can still, for a third straight week, hold on the top spot? I hate putting you on the spot here because you're 90% of the time you're wrong on what it is that you say in reaction. So I hate putting you on the spot, but if you had to gamble, I'm going to say Ballerina is the number 1 movie in the country.
Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing else really big enough releasing this weekend. Ooh. I mean, I think Lilo and Stitch will be a definite number 2.
Yeah, I think so too.
Potential to be number 1, but I think Ballerina should be number 1 by the end of the
that
weekend.
That Don to Don guy yesterday I ran into the bathroom, that was a definite number 2 situation.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, that guy he was sweating. I was like, that's why you get your steaks done well done. That's why you get them cooked well done. Anyway, it's now time for you to reveal your TIDs. And this makes a lot of people happy. One place where they say, please, sir, put away your TIDs, that is Alabama Dental Associates. I'm always trying to show a bit of TID, and they're like, no, this isn't the place for that, sir. Please stop. I love Alabama Dental Associates. You've heard me talk about them, rave about them here on the program a lot. At Alabama Dental, with Dr. Jeff, Dr. Brian, and Dr. Nolan, they put their patients first. Pain management's very important. If you're dreading going to the dentist because you're worried that you're going to be in pain the entire time, or they're not going to take you seriously about being numb or whatever it may be, whatever anxieties you may have about your dental procedures, Alabama Dental, they nip those in the bud and they take care of you. They want to make sure that you are experiencing no pain when you are in their clinic there at Alabama Dental. Make sure you visit them on Grants Mill Road, but first set up an appointment. Call them 205-956-8977. It's 956-8977, or visit alabamadental.com, where they look forward to seeing you, and I look forward to seeing Dr. Brian back at the poker table here very, very soon. Good guy there. My dentist can be your dentist too. They're at Alabama Dental Associates. All right, Tyler, you've got some information that we need to know about. I have no real idea of what direction you're going here, so I want to sit back and enjoy the TID on display.
Well, first TID is a bit of a follow-up to our Ballerina review. Chad Stahelski is still skeptical that John Wick 5 will actually be made. I had a stroke there.
You're good.
He said he's developed a story for John Wick 5, but he hasn't brought the concept to Keanu Reeves yet, despite Lionsgate announcing back in April that Reeves would be back in the role. The movie was first confirmed by Lionsgate in 2020 and then officially announced in 2025. But the Lionsgate release just said, John Wick lives, even though he dies at the end of the 4th movie.
Yeah.
Stahelski is now telling the Hollywood Reporter that he's unsure if a possible 5th made could even be satisfying to make. He said, once we have a 50-page book, and if we're feeling it, we'll sit with Keanu and shape this thing. Look, everybody seems to want it. It's a matter of whether we crack it. We're actively working on it. It's just, is it going to be satisfying? When asked if why there is a continuation of the franchise with Reeves, even after the 4th film ended so well, Stahelski said, I'm with you. Keanu and I have discussed this many times and feel the same way. We finished 3 and thought that was going to be the last one. You're right, Tim. It is because they just keep making money. But we'll see if they actually end up with a good narrative reason to keep going. He says, look, we never expected to end John Wick. I hate cheesy endings. I hate happy endings. Over a long enough timeline, everything's a tragedy. If you kill 86 people, you don't get away. So when we got to 4, we wanted to have something that had a lot of fate and consequence. The ending was going to be a cliffhanger. Then we were sitting in Japan during the filming of 4 going, we didn't stick the landing. Our original ending kind of sucked. We've got to finish this, right? So I was really happy with the way 4 ended. It was Keanu and I saying, thank you, it's been awesome, but it's time to go. I didn't want to overstay our welcome. And he's looking at different options to continue the story, but his vision is going to be very much at odds with what Lionsgate wants. He says the studio would very much will it into existence, I'm sure, at some point. And he said they've been great, and they've asked us to really try, and we have a couple of really good ideas, and we're going to try. So what on earth is going on over at Lionsgate?
Lionsgate's been on fire here, and by that I mean dumpster fire. I got to quit saying it like it's a positive.
Yeah, you need to find a new phrase.
Lionsgate has been a dumpster fire lately. That's the phrase.
They've been in the gutter.
They've been in the gutter. But you know what is down in the gutter is that Streetwater sour cream, and that's what Lionsgate has been. This is a very popular franchise that really has been. It hasn't been targeted by anybody, right? Like both sides of the aisle culturally like the John Wick movies. It's a unifier. It's like the most unifying action franchise that's in existence. Like people are just all on board with it. They love Keanu Reeves. He's one of the most popular actors in existence. They love the universe. They love the rules. Everything keeps getting better and better. The franchise keeps making more and more money with every outing. And narratively, they're running out of runway because it's like, how do you take the John Wick formula and continue to extract dough out of it? They think Ballerina's part of that, and I'm telling you that it's not going to hold really well, I don't think. I think Ballerina's going to sink like a lead balloon. I think people are going to rush out to see it this weekend, but I don't think it's going to hold tremendously well. And by the time John Wick 5 comes around, will they have lost that goodwill because they keep mining the IP for all it's worth? But I don't know. There's no guarantee we ever see a John Wick 5. There's just no guarantee at all. But Lionsgate, do they want it? Absolutely. It's the only thing they got right now that's working.
Absolutely.
So, there we go. All right, what's next?
What's next is a movie we're both looking forward to, F1 the movie. We got some early reviews, early reactions.
Okay.
The headline for this is F1 the movie is a high-speed thrill ride that even non-fans will love. It has received very good reviews after a special IMAX premiere. It's been called an electric thrill ride from start to finish that transports you to the world of Formula One. If you are someone who has no interest in F1 before this film, Joseph Kosinski does an amazing job of making it accessible for everyone. We've got some reviews from Twitter users. User Tim Chan, so I guess, that's you in Japan. Tim Chan.
That's me.
Yep. Just got out of F1, the movie screening. The film was even more emotional than I had anticipated. Brad Pitt is hotter than ever. Oof. The soundtrack with Tate, Roddy, Rose, who I assume means Tate McRae, Roddy Ricch, and Rose from Blackpink, is the perfect accompaniment to the race scenes. Accompaniment. It's not an easy thing to say. Yeah, that's a tough word.
Accompaniment.
According to Drew Taylor, F1 the movie is absolutely incredible. It's one of the most coolest, most entertaining movies you'll probably ever see, but none of that sizzle takes away from its soul. Kosinski precision engineered an eye-popping, edge-of-your-seat pop epic that makes you feel so much. I adored it.
Well,
it hits the gas and doesn't stop. People are praising the cinematography, the performance, the music. You definitely feel shades of Top Gun Maverick in that it plays like an old-school summer blockbuster. It's been called a high-octane summer thrill ride. So this is shaping up to be a big blockbuster, a smash hit for the summer.
We've seen a lot of high praise coming out of a lot of these early access screenings, and for different types of movies. And sometimes they live up to the hype, sometimes they don't. I am personally a believer that these are pretty accurate for everything that I've seen in the marketing for this movie. To me, like in 1999, and I know this is tough to wrap your head around, but in 1999, there was a little movie that came out called The Phantom Menace.
Oh.
And had a lot of hype around it. But one thing that they really sold themselves on was this pod racing sequence. And I'm telling you, I think the pod racing sequence in episode 1 is awesome. I think it's done.
I defend it all the time.
I think it's exceptionally well done. It's way ahead of its time with what they were able to accomplish with that. They had tons of on-set issues where they had a storm come in and destroy a lot of the pod racers that a lot of the pods that they planned to use practically got destroyed, so they had to figure things out. I feel watching a lot of the footage of F1 the same sort of way I felt as a kid in 1999 seated for the Phantom Menace, which is sort of a wow and a spectacle and an awe. And if you can get that feeling out of somebody where they feel like they're kind of seeing something for the first time, it's definitely how I felt during Top Gun Maverick. I mean, during certain sequences where I'm just like in awe of the racing aspect of flying, the maneuvering, right? When you have a spectacle like that, it really hits home, and I feel like that's what F1 is preparing to do to all of us. And I got to see it in prime.
Yep,
got to see it in prime.
Got to see this in prime. For anyone who doesn't know what the story is going to be, Brad Pitt will play Sonny Hayes, a former Formula One driver who experienced a devastating crash in the 90s, leading to his retirement. And then a Formula One team owner and friend calls him back into the racing world to request his help training this
Javier
rookie.
Bardem.
Yes, Javier Bardem calls him to help him mentor this rookie. And it will release June 25th, 2025 in IMAX. And then domestically, it'll hit everywhere June 27th is what I've got here.
Okay.
I might have that backwards, and it comes out in other countries first, a couple days early.
We've got to get together today after the show and talk about the early access.
Yes.
We've got to talk about
because that early access screening is a prime screening.
Yeah,
it's not the IMAX fan screening.
We need to get that figured out. All right, what else you got for us, Tyler?
All righty. Moving on from a movie we're looking forward to a movie that I'd say we're both very much looking forward to. Might be our most anticipated movie of the year, perhaps.
Okay.
James Gunn has said that the new Superman movie was inspired by Godzilla -1, partially.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that because it has kaiju in it?
Well, that's part of it. So James Gunn shared in a recent online interview that the film was inspired by Japanese special effects, also known as tokusatsu. And for anyone who doesn't know what this is, this would be like Ultraman, Kamen Rider, Power Rangers. Think big monsters and guys in suits punching them and using powers. Like you have a lot of practical effects and a lot of bright colors, stuff like that. Gunn's always been a fan of Japanese heroes like Ultraman. He grew up watching the series and even called Ultraman the father of superhero movies. And he once tweeted, "Do I like Kamen Rider? I don't just like it, I love it," when the series started trending in the US. So the trailer for Superman shows that big kaiju that I've mentioned every time we cover this trailer, attacking the city and breathing fire. And it looks like something straight out of Ultraman or Kamen Rider. It is just a kaiju in the truest sense.
I got targeted with a Walmart toy advertisement that had that creature.
Yeah.
And there were certain features about it where I'm like, I feel like that's a major spoiler of like certain things that the creature does and certain ways the creature moves. And I'm like, oh man, I have a feeling I know where this is going. But
anyway, Gunn confirmed that this monster was influenced by tokusatsu. He says, "We were definitely inspired by special effects shows." He says, "I wanted to mix big monsters robots, flying dogs, and superheroes all together. And then he also talked about Godzilla Minus One. He says movies like Godzilla Minus One have amazing monster scenes, but they also tell deep human stories. That's what I'm aiming for.
So this has got to heighten your anticipation for...
Absolutely.
Like, you're obviously already high on crypto.
Oh, yes.
You love kaiju-based stuff, but when you start to hear this, one of your favorite movies being referenced by the director, you got to be very excited.
Absolutely. And Gunn went on to explain that even though the new Superman movie has wild things like crypto and other heroes, the real focus is on the people. He says it's about Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Lex Luthor. Their relationships are the heart of the film. He doesn't want to change Superman into something new. He wants to bring back the classic version of it. He said, I'm showing the version of Superman that people have always known. Kind, caring, hopeful, someone who values life. But that kind of kindness isn't always respected anymore. The world he lives in is like ours now.
I just want to see the movie already.
Yes, me too.
Like, let's just see it. I feel like we've been talking about it every day since December, and I'm just ready to see it. So
we have been, and another thing we've been talking about pretty much every day since December is crypto. And we've got a little bit of a crypto update.
Okay.
So even before filming began on this superhero movie, James Gunn confirmed that crypto would be part of Superman. And since then, a lot of the marketing has revolved around him. You know, I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back once more because I called this while everybody was arguing whether Superman's trunks made him look like a pro wrestler or not.
That's correct.
Crypto based on James Gunn's own dog, Ozu, and it's a rescue dog. And that's drawn a little bit of controversy because it's not comic accurate, but most people don't care.
Please.
Most people don't care, but yes, it's not comic accurate. Crypto is technically supposed to be a Labrador Retriever.
This movie drawing criticism from people that have keyboards that are angry. Yeah, I mean, wow, I didn't see that coming.
But James Gunn's got even more plans for crypto. His possibly his own standalone animated series. So one fan tweeted, or commented rather, saying he would just love to have Crypto have his own show. And James Gunn commented back, responding to him, saying, you're in luck. Now, this could be referring to a new show, or it could be referring to a series of shorts that DC announced a while ago. They're making 4 short films about crypto. The first one's going to come out around December, and they're going to be marketed towards, kids and families, and they'll be fun and goofy. And along with this, they're going to try and push DC Superpowers, Starfire, and My Adventures with Green Lantern, which are more kid-centric shows.
As long as the movie doesn't suck in July.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, yeah, all that sounds great as long as the movie doesn't suck in July. You know, because if there's a revolt from general audiences, I'm not talking about fanboys, I'm talking about general audiences. If general audiences reject Superman, then you're going to see a hard U-turn from Warner Brothers on this. And there's a lot riding on this movie. They're confident in it, but you just don't know until it gets out there how it's going to play, because they were confident the last time that they introduced Superman to everybody.
Oh, yeah, they were.
So, man, I just want to see the movie. It is my most anticipated movie of the year. I am not hanging my poster that you got me until I see the movie.
Oh, okay.
Because I've got it in my office. It's right there. I know where it's at. It's still curled. I'm looking at it. I'm not putting it up until I know for sure it's the goods. Because what I don't want is to go through the process of framing it and hanging it and looking at it and idolizing it and then hating it. So I'm not getting rid of it, but I'm very much wanting to hang that as a symbolic, like, I looked up and it worked. So let's hope that Superman is good. I know that there's been a lot of discussion this week about the runtime.
Yes.
I don't know if that's part of your tiddly bits, but...
No, I believe James Gunn did confirm that it was going to be 2 hours, 6 minutes?
I think it's 2 hours, 7 minutes.
2 hours, 7 minutes. Excuse me.
I'm probably wrong. Watch it be 2 hours and 6. But
whatever.
Still, it's one or the other. And he had to shoot back reports that like that was a mandate from Warner Brothers that, like, you know, it has to be shortened because you got way too many ideas and way too many things there. So... we'll see. I think the thing's going to make a buku of money. Will it outperform Jurassic World in the month of July? Will it outperform Fantastic Four in the month of July? I'm really curious to see who wins July. And I'm not just talking about July, but the rest of the year, obviously, too.
So gut feeling is out of the 3 of those movies you listed, Jurassic Park is at the bottom.
No.
Really?
Exact opposite.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's at the top.
Really?
Yeah.
This thing looks awful.
Yeah, those movies make tons of money and they're not good. And they make tons of money. Billions.
Okay.
I mean, I hate to tell you, but like, I think that Jurassic World is the safest bet.
All right, fair enough.
I would almost be willing to do like a lunch bet with you where you get the other 2 movies.
I'm not doing these anymore.
I know that's fine, but I would just say I would offer it up to where you would get the other 2 movies, Superman and Fantastic Four, and I would just get Jurassic World. I think I would win. And I think you'd be going, darn it, I fell for it again. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
I'm tempted. Okay.
Internationally.
We'll talk. We'll table it for next week.
We'll talk. Think about it. Okay. You got more Tid?
I do. Speaking of Tids, Mikey Madison is in talks for her newest role.
Some people would not appreciate that segue. I'm kind of one of those people too, but anyway. Yeah. Let's continue on. She turned down the last Starfighter, is that what it's called?
I think that's what it's called, but that's also the name of a different movie too.
Maybe it's the last, I don't know. It's the new Star Wars movie with Ryan Gosling.
Yes.
She turned it down and they went with Mia Goth instead, who just signed on today. So some people are going to be very excited about that for sure.
Well, she's in talks to start in her next role. It will be A24's reimagining of Edgar Allan Poe's Mask of the Red Death, which I feel like is a pretty fitting role for her.
I agree. I mean, yeah, that sounds. I'm interested.
Yeah. So she is in talks to star in the reimagining of the story from Edgar Allan Poe from filmmaker Charlie Pullinger. It will come from A24. And Mikey Madison's developed a reputation of being very particular. As Tim said, she turned down Star Wars. And she has not really engaged in many discussions for her next role since Honora won so many Oscars. I believe it was 5 in total last year. She was in brief talks to play a villain in Starfighter, like you said, but those broke down over pay, reportedly. And she also attached herself to the story Reptilia, about a dental hygienist who falls in love with a mermaid. Now,
sounds like a Guillermo del Toro movie.
It does. It really does. Sources are telling The Hollywood Reporter that Madison will play twin sisters in a story that sees a mad prince take in the noble class into his castle while a plague devastates the peasantry. The story sees a long-lost twin hidden amongst the lower class enter the castle and into a decadent world of orgies, opium, power schemes, revenge, and decapitations. The project has been described as a quintessential A24 movie, one that will likely include eyebrow-raising, memeable scenes that should resonate amongst the TikTok class. Wow. Madison is replacing another rising star in Sydney Sweeney, who dropped out due to scheduling conflicts, as her schedule is just absolutely slammed, whether it's selling out bathwater soap that is now reselling for $300 or shooting Euphoria season 3, and she's also due to star in the Legendary Pictures adaptation of Mobile Suit Gundam. I don't know.
There's going to be some advance tickets sold for that.
I just bought out the theater.
Yeah, private screening.
Private screening just for me. Yeah. Red Death is due to shoot at the end of this year, early next year, according to these sources. What do you think about all this?
Well, I mean, she's looking to cash in on what is the biggest season of her career. There's no doubt. I mean, she went from being on nobody's radar a year ago to now being on everybody's radar.
She was on Tarantino's radar, and that's about it.
Perfectly fair. And they made it clear, without Tarantino basically discovering her, there would be no Mikey Madison wave that we're all experiencing. The worst thing you can be in Hollywood almost is a one-hit wonder. Really a no-hit wonder, but I mean, if you're a one-hit wonder where you have that one thing you're known for and you can't break away from it, then we've seen so many stars that reach the mountaintop briefly and then plummet right off. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to be the case here with Mikey Madison. I think we're going to be seeing her for potentially a long, long time. But it's all about choosing the right roles. And it sounds like her and her team are very meticulous about what they're going to take on and what her portfolio is going to look like. So I think this is a step in the right direction, personally. And I think it plays to even strengthening her fan base and welcoming in even more people that may have not even seen Anora yet, that may be intrigued enough by her career trajectory to go back and revisit Anora.
That's true. The A24 fanboys and the Neon fanboys are always at war with each other.
They are. Have you chosen a team? Are you more A24 or more Neon if you had to choose between the two?
I mean, so with A24, it's real top heavy for me with horror movies. But, I mean, Neon, I think, outside of horror, there was a take that I told you about that I saw the other day. It was like Neon is what the A24 fanboys think A24 is, and I got to agree with that.
Yeah, I think Neon right now, it's not even much of a contest.
It's like they're Palme d'Or winners, 4 or 5 years in a row?
Oscar winners
the
past couple years, multiple times. Neon right now, if they end up buying something up or they end up getting ready to release something, it's like, okay, I'm going to take you way more seriously. Neon has become a major player here in the game. So, man, I've been way more impressed lately by what Neon's been doing than A24, especially since A24's had some big misses that nobody's talking about this year.
They've been expanding their brand, I think, a little too rapidly, in my opinion. Because in years past, A24 had that feeling of like, this is a curated selection of auteurs that we're going to allow to have this branding for their films. And now it just seems like it's like, oh, we're going to get into family movies with Legend of Ochi. Oh, we're going to get into this kind of movie and that kind of movie.
Opus is one of the biggest flops of the year.
Opus is a movie no one's even talking about. I didn't even bother to go see it because there was just no conversation around it. There's no reason for me to cover it if nobody even cares about the movie or would care about the movie even if it was good.
Yeah. It may be the worst performing 1,000+ screen movie ever. I mean, it's in the conversation. So really, really poor there. But anyway, good for Mikey Madison and good for fans of young female talent that want to support them in projects that they believe in, where it's not just about the gawking, but it's also about these ladies picking the right projects. So that seems to be where we're headed here when we talk about the careers of Mikey Madison and the Sydney Sweeney, like making some bold decisions, and we're going to see what ends up happening.
I am first in line for that Gundam movie. I love Gundam, and I like Sydney Sweeney. So now we got...
Works out. All right, what else you got for us?
Moving on from the gothic stuff in Edgar Allan Poe to just the straight-up horror. Blumhouse has made some big money moves.
Okay.
They've acquired Saw.
Yeah.
They bought out Twisted Pictures half of the Saw franchise.
I saw that James Wan getting back into the game with Saw, which makes me very happy as a Saw fan, but I don't know how much more you can do with Saw without a hard reboot.
I would agree. Now, Lionsgate is still going to retain its existing half, which that's worrying, but Jason Blum acquiring this, it could breathe new life in the franchise. They've got a good track record of that from launching what's I would consider to be two of the biggest horror franchises of the modern era in The Purge and The Conjuring, and also rebooting legacy franchises like Halloween and making Michael Myers back at the forefront of the horror universe.
I crap on that trilogy a lot for how it ended, but I was all about 2018 Halloween, and I was all about Halloween Kills when it landed. And I still hold a special place in my heart for those two movies. Halloween Ends is an abomination, though.
I agree. Now, everybody just wants to see this franchise return to its former glory. Hopefully, Blumhouse can do that. Now, where I'm interested in seeing how this goes is if they're going to continue introducing bigger spectacle into the Saw franchise, or if they're going to go more back to its roots, because the Blumhouse business model is it focuses on having a very modest budget, to put it lightly, and just kind of make the storytelling very inventive and very creative. And that's how we've gotten stuff like The Purge, because all you have to do is film it inside a house, and then you film through security cameras as well.
The way Blumhouse makes movies is the way a lot of players in the poker world become successful. Low risk, pretty strong reward.
Yeah.
Low risk, pretty strong reward. And every now and then, what happens is when you build up your bankroll enough, you can take a shot that leads to a little bit of a higher risk and a super big reward. And Halloween 2018 was one of those situations where they ended up getting the rights to all of that. And next thing you know, that movie's setting all kinds of records for R-rated horror movies. Now, with that being said, they also took the big gamble on the Exorcist franchise. Yes. And they bought up the rights to that for way too much. They got in a bidding war, and they broke their philosophy. And then that movie came out, and it made no money. And they're having to hard reboot that. So they don't have a perfect track record, but they try to protect themselves on the front end a lot.
But they did also bring back The Invisible Man. From Lee Winnell.
Yep.
And I thought the Invisible Man remake was pretty solid.
Man,
for what it was.
I thought it was so overrated when I saw it.
I mean, overrated. People acted like it was, just reinvented. It was like Lee Winnell discovered fire or something. Yeah. But it's fine.
It was fine. I had some major logic problems with it.
That's fair.
But and I also thought the trailers gave too much away. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But I didn't love that movie as much as everybody. Everybody lost their mind over it, and it led to almost nothing. What it led to is Lee Winnell giving us a Wolfman movie that sucked.
Yeah, that Wolfman movie was awful.
Wolfman movie this year. What kind of Wolfman becomes the Wolfman and loses his hair? That doesn't make sense. Anyway, let's continue.
Had the mange.
I don't know what was happening in that Wolfman movie, but that thing sucked, man.
Well, we talked a little bit about a horror movie you thought was overrated in The Invisible Man.
Yep.
And one you hated in Wolfman.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about one that you love. Alien Romulus. The sequel begins filming this year. Fede Alvarez has been putting it together without anybody knowing. He hadn't been saying anything about it.
Good.
And then he pops up on a podcast and just saying things are chugging right along. He doesn't confirm pretty much any other details, but he did reveal on a recent episode of the Maria Nocturna podcast. Haven't heard of that one, but that's a dope name. That pre-production is underway on the next Alien movie, with filming set to begin in October. He's been working quietly behind the scenes on the script and putting plans together. We don't know what those plans are specifically, but there's plenty of room for speculation. I would say it's pretty safe to assume that Kaylee Spaney's Rain and David Johnson's Andy will be involved. Alvarez previously said, wherever we go now, we can go into uncharted waters. I think it's so exciting to go with characters you know from this movie to a place in the Alien franchise we've never seen before, and discover things that you've never seen before. And also, if we're looking big picture, 20th Century Fox has hinted at a possible Alien versus Predator shared universe in these remakes, reboots, and whatnot. Because if you look at the Predator Badlands trailer that came out recently, we've got a trailer reaction to that up on the channel if you haven't seen it. Elle Fanning's character appeared to be a Weyland-Yutani android, so I don't know if that will be a coincidence or if Fede Alvarez is working his material in to tie in the Predator universe into his version of Alien. But either way, both franchises are thriving. Predator Killer of Killers drops today on Hulu. And the Alien Earth show, which I got to catch a trailer for, drops later this year, I believe in August.
It does drop in August. You have not seen Prey yet, right?
I have not seen Prey. I've been meaning to watch it.
Okay. Prey is the reason why both of these franchises now are on the path that they're on. It's a very solid film. One of the better in the Predator franchise. That's not saying much. But I'm upset with Ridley Scott. I told you about this off air.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott's coming out and he's trashing everything that is not Alien, Aliens, Prometheus, or Covenant. Well, Ridley Scott's a part of 3 of those. So a lot of people are like, well, that's really humble of him, giving James Cameron some credit for Aliens. Please. He went on this press tour and probably got paid handsomely to basically talk with Fede Alvarez about this new movie, this new Alien Romulus movie that came out last year.
And then they did the anniversary screening of Alien that had the interview segment where Fede Alvarez and Ridley Scott are sitting there chumming it up, saying, oh, like, this guy, he understands the Alien universe. I'm glad he's taking over for Alien Romulus.
Exactly. And it was a bunch of BS because now, for some reason, Ridley Scott is like, oh, people like this Alien Romulus movie? Oh, people think David S. Johnson is like as good as Tim Melton promoted he was immediately after seeing the movie? Oh, man, people heard the Meltdown talking about how just damn good this movie was immediately after having seen it, saying that may be a perfect movie? Nah, this thing's crap. Get out of here, you old man. I mean, I'm sorry, Ridley Scott, but I mean...
I really do think his opinion on it changed as soon as the consensus became, this is actually one of the best Alien movies that's ever been made. It's right up there with the original Alien and Aliens. It could even be better than one of them. I don't know. Once that became the conversation, I think he changed his tune.
Which sequel's better? Alien Romulus or Gladiator 2?
Oh, Alien Romulus. It's not even close.
You know who's responsible for Gladiator 2?
Yeah. And the studio took a bath on it too.
I am tired of the gatekeepers that constantly go, oh, you're young, you're fresh, you have something that's working, you have something that's keeping what I did relevant as well, and you're introducing it to a new audience. And like a lot of people, their introduction to the Alien franchise was Alien Romulus. Like, I hate to say it, but that's just the truth. Like, a younger audience, that movie was made for a younger audience to get sort of invested. And it did so in a wonderful way. It was my favorite movie of last year, which is surprising. I did not expect that. But it's a near perfect Alien experience. And Fede Alvarez is my Alien director, not Ridley Scott. Fede. And I appreciate what James Cameron did with Aliens. It still holds up tremendously. Mm-hmm. And what Romulus is a perfect blend of the first and second movie.
Yes, it is.
It is the thing is, a lot of people, they want to sort of say it's a tribute band, and it's not. It is very much a curation of the greatest hits of both of those movies put into one film. And I cannot wait to see what he does next now that he's sort of brought it back to the forefront. This was going to be a movie that they just dropped on Hulu, and they ended up throwing into theaters. It wasn't quite ready. Some of the visual effects needed a little bit of upping, and they made it right on the back end once this thing sort of gathered an audience. But I'm so happy that we were really at the forefront here of walking out of that theater going, this is awesome. And people, need to know that this is awesome. And everyone has sort of come around to that consensus. And I love that. We were so ahead of the game.
I mean, after we saw it, I remember us having the conversation of, are we overhyping this? Are we too high on this movie?
Why aren't more people?
Or was that a near perfect Alien movie?
Near perfect Alien movie. I mean, it's really, really good. And it's going to be tough for me to see Fede do something that even tops that one. And I think he set the bar incredibly high. So super excited about that. A lot of people think it was like dumbed down or, there's a lot of people that's not my Alien, and they don't want other people to have something they can latch onto and enjoy. And, they want to call it stupid or whatever. It's not. It was really, really good. Well done. And it introduced one of my favorite characters there in Andy. I think that such a dynamic performance. He ended up getting a lot of acclaim there. And at CinemaCon was even presented an award of like the up and coming actor that people need to keep their eyes on. So I think he's going to be great. What else you got for us, Tyler? Because I'm all fired up against Ridley Scott right now for some reason.
While we're talking about Alien, we might as well talk about the trailer for Alien Earth that we got to see, as well as some of the other trailers that we got to watch recently. What did you think about that Alien Earth trailer?
Well, see, I want to ask you what you thought about the Alien Earth trailer, because I thought it looked awesome.
It does. I think it's cool how they're going to put a human into a synthetic, and we're going to basically see if they're like, I don't know. I got the impression that they might be looking to like almost farm synthetics in a way.
You know what I love is when they're talking about all the different creatures that have been kind of captured, and they're talking about there's different types, and we're going to be introduced to new creatures that I don't even know what we're going to see. Like, and I thought the trailer did a great job of like, there's certain beats in the trailer that I don't feel like will be replicated in the series. I feel like they're kind of cut together in a perfect way to where you don't know who lives, who dies. You don't know what's going on. You don't know who you should be rooting for or against fully. And man, I've been high on wanting to see Alien Earth all year long. When it drops in August, that's going to be a very exciting time for us. I think August is going to have a lot of stuff to talk about. July, August. I mean, summer's going to only heat up more and more week by week. And I'm so excited about that. And Alien Earth is like cherry on top of the sundae. So I'm hoping by then we're talking about a great Naked Gun movie. And we're talking about what is a great Superman movie, a great Fantastic Four movie, a great Jurassic World movie. I'm rooting for all of these movies that are coming out. And I'm hoping Alien Earth is like that thing we sink our teeth into the television side, because it's got all the makings for what could be something that enhances the cinematic universe in a way that doesn't make people even feel like they're missing out that aren't watching it, that just jump back onto the movies, which is what Marvel's had the hard time with.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how do we introduce stuff while also not making people have to watch it, while also rewarding the people who are watching it? They can't get that right balance. I feel like Alien is going to be a great testing ground for how to do it right.
Well, one franchise that's been really good at making the sort of auxiliary content be standalone and able to be enjoyed on its own and with other bits of the franchise is the James Bond franchise. And we got that trailer for 007 First Light, the new video game.
Yep.
What'd you think of that? The
Okay.
young James Bond with the scar on his face.
Well, the scar is from the novelization,
Yes,
so
it is.
I'm glad they decided to go with that route of not only incorporating the movies, but also the literature surrounding James Bond. I think that that's a really smart move in giving James Bond fans a chance to really sink their teeth into something. The first look at the character, I was like, I don't know about this.
That's what I thought too.
But then I'm like, I'm all about it now.
Yeah.
It took me a little bit to be like that's James Bond. He's got the right personality. Just did he have the right look? I was like, James Bond is one of those characters that everybody feels like they've got their version of James Bond, and they're very defensive about the other versions don't compete with their version. And originally there was that like silhouette sort of tease of the James Bond character where you couldn't really tell what direction they were going. And now that they've shown it, he kind of has like I don't know what character I would say, or what actor I would say this is after a real actor, by the way. They had a real actor that portrays James Bond in this.
It kind of looked like...
they modeled it after his image.
Yeah, it kind of looked like Tom Holland as Nathan Drake from Uncharted to me.
Yeah,
that was the vibe I was getting.
Had a little bit of that, for sure.
Let's see, the actor...
And I wonder, once you
Patrick Gibson.
Patrick Gibson, I wonder if he's going to actually be in the running potentially for the film franchise. Like, he looks the part. He's young, but he kind of looks like he should be in the running. And if they're going to go with what I think that they're going to go with, which is an unknown, I really do think they're going to go with an unknown for James Bond, because everybody else has too many cons, not enough pros. If they decide not to back up the Brinks truck to Henry Cavill, and Amazon may do that because they think that's what the fans really, really want, which I'll make the argument that Henry Cavill's never led a successful franchise, but we won't talk about that. I think that this kid should be in the running. And this is based off of just this trailer alone, that, they should consider going this route. But
I mean, why not? I mean, especially if you're looking at the fact that Amazon MGM is wanting to really get their money out of the massive amount of money they handed over to the Broccoli's to get the rest of the rights to James Bond. It would make sense to have this one actor have video games and books and movies and TV shows all centered off from their universe, and that way you kind of almost put in like a Pokemon strategy where you're getting the fans to pay for multiple types of content from that platform.
It makes sense from a business perspective.
In the same way that Pokemon fans will watch the show buy the action figures and the trading cards and the video games and the plushies and everything.
What they're trying to do with my boy Jason.
That's what they're trying. That's exactly what they're trying to do with Jason with that god awful AI design.
I've already wasted all my angry energy on Ridley Scott. I'm not about to go on the whole Jason universe thing with the 1 and the 3 in there, which looks ridiculous.
The jacket lapel doesn't line up.
It's awful. It's awful. But yeah, I'm high on this. I love that it's an origin thing where you're getting, into the 00 program being relaunched, and there's tons of opportunity. I do have one small nitpick, which is I would have loved in the trailer for Bond to be driving a DB5, but that's just a small nitpick. I thought
Aston Martin didn't pay for the product placement like Omega watches did.
I guess so.
Because that logo was prominent.
I thought it was going to be a DB5, and it ended up, because when you see it, it's like in the darkness, and you're just seeing the tail lights, and you're like, he's in a tunnel, and it's like, oh my gosh, we're going to be able to drive the DB5. Maybe you will be, but not in the trailer there. And I'm looking forward to more footage coming out this summer of the actual gameplay and what it's going to be like, and I hope the shooting mechanics are fun. That's really what it boils down to. Like, Resident Evil 4, I've brought it up multiple times here on the show. Like, I loved the shooting mechanics of Resident Evil 4. A lot of people thought it was too wonky at the time and all that stuff, but I thought it was so great, the pistol play. The pistol play in a James Bond game has to be good in order to really make it work. So I want the pistol play to be good. They showed a little bit of it in the cinematics there of him in target practice. That has to be rewarding. When you're Bond and you pull out your pistol, it has to be a rewarding experience gameplay-wise, and I'm hoping it is. So I'm high on it.
Should the club be included in this game?
No, that's the word. I hate that gun.
Just for old time's sake?
I hate that gun.
It's awful.
I hate that gun. I don't ever want to see it again.
It's useless.
Yeah.
Another game that
I'd rather just chop people than use the club. Anyway, continue.
You just play only slappers.
Yeah.
Another game that we got a trailer for recently was Silent Hill F, and this is a bit different than some of the other Silent Hill games, so I really wanted your opinion on this. It's more of a Japanese psychological horror.
I feel bad. I have not watched the trailer for this, so you're going to have to help me understand what exactly it is I've missed.
It's just a different take. It's set in a Japanese village, and this one seems like it's just really gonna make you immersed in the darkness and in the horror, because that's traditionally what Japanese horror is all about. If you look at Junji Ito stuff and whatnot, you just get this sense of immersion. You're made to sit in the darkness until it envelops you, and then just things start to be very unsettling, and then the scare hits you. There's some contorted-looking people with knives walking around in the trailer.
I'm watching it right now. You're right.
Yeah, it looks wild.
Man, the blood-stained walls, that's just such a Silent Hill thing.
Yeah.
The first Silent Hill blew my mind, and I played it at such an impressionable age where I was totally hooked by horror movies. And there weren't a lot of good horror games. I didn't really like Resident Evil. Sorry, I thought the gameplay mechanics sucked in Resident Evil, where it's like the fixed camera in the room, and you got to and you're just like constantly running into a wall. And I did not like Resident Evil until Resident Evil 4.
So there's actually a series on YouTube that used to like recreate like what it would be like if you were in this game. And one time they did Resident Evil and went through all the different camera styles, like first-person mode, and they would like hook up GoPros and stuff. And there's a fixed camera where they would wear these monitors on their face, so you get the camera view, the live camera view, and the cameras would just be like posted in the corner of the room. They'd have to navigate through the zombies and stuff.
It's awful. I did not like. I love the idea of Resident Evil. I hated the execution of it. Silent Hill was the first horror video game I fell in love with completely. Like, I was just hooked. The mystery of it, the finding keys and doing puzzles. And
Silent Hill 2 with the dog.
Silent Hill 3, which I thought was really good. 1, 2, and 3 I played the hell out of. There was the Silent Hill movie that came out in like 2006?
Yeah,
2007?
that sounds right. Yeah, somewhere around there.
It sucked.
It was awful.
It was awful. And I was so excited for it because I was such a big Silent Hill fan. So This looks like it's a return to form of something that really is interesting. Is it coming out on just PlayStation or what? Do you know?
Let me double check. Konami might have signed an exclusive deal with PlayStation. Oh nope, it'll be on Xbox Series X and Series S.
That makes me happy.
I was tweaking. It's already up for pre-purchase on Steam if anybody's interested.
If you want to talk about games that I just strictly associate with PlayStation, Silent Hill's one of them. I just always consider that to be almost a PlayStation exclusive, but I'm sure
I can always just visualize that PlayStation 1 case with the strip on the side, that like greatest hits green strip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh, I love this game. I mean, I love Silent Hill, the franchise. So, yeah, I'm all about this. I hope it's got some tricks up its sleeve.
Yeah, I guess this one won't have Kojima's involvement at all because he got the old boot from Konami. I'm still not sure what that fallout was, because there was going to be the Silent Hills game that was originally PT, playable trailer, and then after development for that tanked, it ended up morphing into Death Stranding.
Oh, okay. Well,
did you ever play PT?
I did not.
Oh, okay. It was a really good playable teaser for PlayStation 4. I really recommend looking up some playthroughs of it because at the time it was the hypest thing around because it was very scary to play through. Mm-hmm. And then at the end you see Norman Reedus walking out of the building. Turns out you're playing as him, and then you get the title reveal, Silent Hills.
Oh.
Yep. But then I don't know if Kojima slept with somebody's wife at Konami.
Didn't quite work out.
That was always the rumor because he was just excommunicated entirely overnight.
So I'm obviously watching this on just mute.
Yeah.
But is the music really good too in here when you? All right, I'm gonna have to watch that. Okay, what else you got for us, Tyler?
Quick chat check-in. Smuff says, the only PlayStation exclusive that I miss as an Xbox player is Spider-Man. I don't need the rest. I'd say Ghost of Tsushima's worth playing, but yeah, other than that and Spider-Man, you're not really missing out.
God of War, man.
God of War, yes, that was a good pull. I downloaded the, I guess it wouldn't really be a remake. It was the sequel they made for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 that's just called God of War. I've got that downloaded on my PlayStation 5, and I haven't started it yet.
It's just fun, man. It's like the best hack and slash game that exists.
Because I've only played the older God of War games that were the Greek gods, and they've moved on to other ones. Kratos has wiped through everybody on Mount Olympus.
Yeah. God of War has some sort of local tie, too, and I don't know what it is, but it's really? Was there somebody out of Vestavia that had some sort of hand in the God of War franchise that was one of the creators or one of the art designers? I could have sworn in the bowels of my brain, which is a dangerous place to go sometimes, that there was some sort of local tie to God of War.
Dude, you are nuts. David Hoffe is a video game designer originally from Birmingham, Alabama. He worked on God of War.
There you go.
And also Twisted Metal. He directed God of War and the Twisted Metal series.
So he's kind of a big deal when it comes to those franchises.
Yeah, he graduated from Mountain Brook High School.
Mountain Brook, okay.
So, you know what? Shout out to this guy, David, because I didn't know we had anybody in the video game industry from Birmingham.
There you go. And those are some pretty big, iconic games that needed the direction that they were provided. So good stuff there.
Birmingham, rise up. Final TID.
Final TID, everybody. Everybody, last call for TIDs. Here we go. Open those peepers.
Martin Scorsese has come out and says he no longer goes to the cinemas because the audience sucks. Bad behavior.
Yeah.
He says he's so appalled by the behavior of his fellow cinema goers. He's speaking to U.S. film critic Peter Travers for his blog, The Travers Take, and Scorsese reportedly explained that he found himself too distracted by the chat and mobile phone disturbance from the audience to concentrate on the film he was watching. He He says, I asked the maestro why he doesn't see movies in theaters anymore, and he went all raging bull about audiences who babble on phones during the movie, leave to order snacks and vats of soda, and keep up a noise level loud enough to drown out the actors. Travers then countered that Scorsese, age 82, likely behaved in a similar way when he was younger, saying, "Come on, Marty, we couldn't keep our mouths shut when we were kids." Scorsese's eyes darkened and said, "Yeah, maybe, but when we talked, it was always about the movie and the fun we had chewing over the details." So, cinema etiquette has, it's widely perceived to have just declined, as is every other kind of
undebatable
etiquette, concert etiquette especially.
Oh, yeah.
So, audiences, some people attribute it to streaming and COVID, to audiences just not being willing to devote their full attention to something other than their screen. Fights and shouting matches, videos of that have been going viral in movie theaters. I saw one the other day where someone asked this lady to just please put their phone away or go in the hallway, and she's ready to throw down. It's like, how dare you ask me that?
Yeah.
And that's the typical response of someone when you ask them that, because somebody that is clicking away on their phone, full volume, full brightness in a dark, crowded theater, has no respect for anyone else. Food throwing has become normalized with the chicken jockey nonsense, but thankfully that seems like it's about over. But, thankfully we've got people like Tom Cruise trying to get people back into the cinemas.
Thank you, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, thank you, Tom Cruise, because not even Martin Scorsese will go to the theaters anymore.
I mean, Tom Cruise needed Lilo and Stitch too. But anyway, we won't talk about that. Thank you, Tom Cruise.
That's fine. Scorsese has multiple projects still in production, including a Hawaii crime drama starring The Rock, and also a documentary about the late Pope Francis. And it's believed that Scorsese actually had the final interview.
Wow.
So did he somehow get in there between J.D. Vance and then last rights?
We will see. We will see. I've heard this Rock movie may be his last one. That may be it.
Really?
Yeah. Like in terms of, what you'd expect from a Scorsese movie. But I believe it's The Rock and Emily Blunt, and is Leo a part of that one too? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Maybe.
But it's
it wouldn't surprise me at all, with much as those two love working together.
Yeah. I mean, forever I wanted the Frank Sinatra biopic with Leonardo DiCaprio playing Sinatra, but I don't think we're going to get it. But they tried to make that thing happen a million different ways, and it just never seems to work out. But Scorsese's not wrong, and I would love to see Scorsese go see Wicked for Good and see what his reaction out of the theater reaction would be, because all the theater kids in there screaming their hearts out and singing, and I think that would maybe keep him away from the movies forever and ever and ever.
That little bit about theater kids actually reminded me. I got one more tid to show off.
We have bonus tid?
A little bonus flash of tid.
A little slip of a tid?
Yeah, just a little side tid, maybe.
Okay, give it to me.
So, wow, I totally blanked. I didn't have it written down.
Wicked for Good.
Wicked for Good. That trailer did come out. It looks awful.
But that wasn't the tid?
No, that wasn't the tid. I had something.
Theater kids.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just said you were going to show us tids.
Yeah.
And then you covered it right back.
Yeah, I teased the tid.
We didn't even get a peek.
No.
Well, that's disappointing.
No, I had it, and then it completely just escaped me.
Okay.
It's gone forever.
Well, the tid that never was. Sometimes the best tids are the ones you never see. So there we go. Well, that was interesting. I appreciate everybody being in the chat today. Hey, who knows? Maybe you save it here in the last few moments. I'm going to tell you about MyBookie. At MyBookie.ag, you can bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. Maybe you're watching the NBA Finals. Maybe you're watching the Stanley Cup Finals, and you're like, look, I want to get in on the action. You can do so at MyBookie.ag. Use promo code NEXTROUND for that first-time deposit bonus at MyBookie.ag. I think that's going to do it. Smuff and Jeff are both calling you a tease, and, that's kind of true.
I mean, it is. I should have written it down or just not even brought it up. I'm embarrassed.
Okay.
I brought it up and then immediately forgot it.
It happens. It happens to everybody. Hunter, we appreciate you being there with us, saying great shows this week as always. And if you missed any of them, they're right there on demand, ready for you to watch. Tons of great conversation. EG, obviously, out today on assignment for some R&R. She will be out all next week as well. So we will be holding down the fort until EG returns here on The Meltdown. Hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. If you go out and, watch Ballerina and you enjoy it, I'm not going to be totally surprised. There are some enjoyable qualities that are a part of it, but it just didn't hit like any of the other John Wick movies for me. So that was sort of how we started off today's conversation. We appreciate you being along for the ride. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will see you again on Monday, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern.